Hey, this is FateofDestinee. And if you hear some sounds in the background, I apologize. I have my dog on my lap and he's sleeping, and he has an interesting habit of making weird noises when he sleeps. Like, he snores for one thing, but he also makes like hoarse sounds, or he'll whimper or bark in his sleep. So if he does any of that, I'm sorry, but he is like glued to my lap right now. He's a big mama's boy. And my sister's also playing piano in the background. But hopefully none of that should be too distracting. Anyway, what I want to do is give you a little like behind the scenes commentary on a FateofDestinee classic, the KABAR knife review. I recorded it almost 2 years ago. So let's start the video. Oh man, this is like the first intro I ever put on my videos, because the first few ones I didn't have any kind of introduction at all.
Martial arts, the body can be wielded as a knife.
It's a funny story behind that board break, actually. So I'm gonna pause the video. The board that I picked up, I just got from like, I don't know, like Home Depot or Menards or whatever. And I didn't think about how it was construction grade and not like prepped for board breaking, because I've broken a ton of boards over the many years that I've done Taekwondo, and I never really thought about it because I was never the one, picking them out. And well, it turns out that the boards that they use for martial arts demonstrations, they prep by drawing them out and stuff. This board, not so much. I didn't do any of that. So first I thought, oh, I'll break it with my hand. Just kidding. Instead, I just like smashed the crud out of my hand, and then it hurt, and then I got like really frustrated and upset, and I was like, okay, well, that was dumb. I'm gonna use my elbow. So then I set it up to break it with my elbow, thinking, okay, this is pretty much foolproof, because how can I not break it with my elbow with so much force going behind it? No big deal, right? So then I go to break it, and instead just managed to bruise the crap out of my elbow. So now at this point, I hurt my hand, bruised my elbow, and so now I'm really frustrated because I spent all this time on the front end doing research on the knife, preparing for the video, buying the stuff that I was going to cut, and getting all set up. And here I injured myself right in the beginning of the process. So I decided, okay, I'm going to give it one more go, and holy cow, I'm either going to break my elbow or I'm going to break this board, but this is happening. Because that's generally how I deal with getting frustrated with something. It just further resolves my determination to accomplish it. So, obviously I did break it on the second try with my elbow, but the way the board split and splintered, it actually cut my elbow open, and I bled throughout a portion of the rest of the video recording. I actually have a scar, even though it's like 2 years later. Suffer for my craft, I guess you could say. So part of the preparations I did for this video was I watched those old Ginsu knife commercials from like the 80s or whatever, because I just got a huge kick out of them. I thought it would be so funny if I could emulate those ridiculous over-the-top Ginsu knife commercials with this like big KABAR. I had so many comments, people like watching me cut stuff going, oh my god, I thought you were going to cut your fingers off. But I've worked in restaurants and stuff, so handling knives is something I'm very used to. I'm doing it quickly, but still being safe. Some people thought I was like being legit with this like demonstration of the knife's abilities. Like, wow, really? Your knife can cut a tomato? Oh, good job. Instead of noticing that I was trying to make fun of the Ginsu commercial. But, I don't know, that was part of just what made it funny for me. There was a lot of preparation that went into this video. I mean, when I was getting the knife, I was all excited about it, did all this research on it. So that was part of it. But picking out or deciding how I was going to do the little tests of its, abilities, like making wafer-thin potato chips. I totally still eat raw potatoes like that. I have since I was a kid. So then planning all of the video out, getting the wood and the food and everything that I was going to cut,
But wait,
and
to make this
all of that was a whole lot of
better,
preparation.
we're gonna
But
throw
because
in
I
a
was still like
can opener.
paralyzingly nervous of being on camera when I was making this video, it took me literally 8 hours to film. It was such an intensive process. By the end of the day, I was totally exhausted, and it was still like early enough in my video making that I was like, oh my gosh, if this is what it takes to make videos, I don't know that I want to keep doing this. But here I am, 2 years later. It doesn't take me 8 hours anymore,
The best deal on
thankfully. But like, I was so nervous like delivering this stuff that I'd like say something and I'd either bungle it and go, oh, I could do this better, I could do this better, let me re-record, or I would just say it really awkwardly, or whatever. It just took me forever just to deal with the plain nervousness of being on camera. Like, see how I smile all the time? So even when I'm trying to convey information, just because I was so freaking nervous, my first instinct is just like smile. As though that's going to alleviate some of the tension that I was feeling from being in front of the camera. This is another part I got a lot of comments on, like, oh, I thought you were going to cut your hand off. Actually, I thought it was really sweet how so many people were like really concerned about me.
Okay, let me grab one of those potatoes from the floor.
But
You see that?
it just took a lot of work just to deal with that initial like
That is some strong
fear of being on film.
serious knife.
So even when I'm trying to communicate like information about the knife itself instead of just making fun of the Ginsu commercial, I got a lot of people who thought that I was some kind of like crazy person because I keep grinning while I'm talking about this knife like I'm some kind of fanatic. So I had some interesting comment responses to that.
That's why I love it. One of the things I like about this knife that I didn't think I'd like initially is this grip here. These are leather rings pressed in.
I do still like this knife though. I take it camping a lot.
Responsive kind of grip.
It
Don't stand in it too
doesn't look as nice as it did in this video though. It looks pretty beat up, but I've got a second one, to keep nice, just, for that purpose.
like, how the
It's so funny looking back on these old videos. Well, I guess they're old for me anyway. Some people, I know a ton of people haven't even seen them. After all the 8 hours of work recording and work in post-production, learning how to use the green screen and
as far as tactical
the research beforehand and planning everything out, I only get like 30 views a day on this video, which is kind of funny. So as far as like monetarily, it probably was not worth all the effort that I put into it. But for the experience, I still think that it was a good video, and I still fondly look back on it.
it's durable, it keeps an edge, and it takes a lot of abuse. If you saw some of the stuff I did to it tonight, it's almost unbreakable, at least as far as anything that I would ever do.
I look like I have such a baby face to me, even though it's only been 2 years. I feel like I aged.
Tactical girls.
Oh man, I had a ton of comments about this part. Like, did you really shave with this? Well, I did put shaving cream on my leg, and I did,
Now that's
scrape off some of the shaving cream with at this point, quite dull blade, but it was definitely just for show. I mean, I was still, fully clothed and everything when I filmed that. But yeah, so that's some of the, I guess, the secrets behind putting together this KABAR video. And I hope you enjoyed some of that behind the scenes information and checking out the video that I did. What for me feels like such a long time ago. Thank you.